Let's say as the car moves from left to right, you want to animate the second hand on the clock. Now for that, let's go and zoom into the clock a little bit. So I'm going to hold down Alt and scroll into the clock, and then use spacebar to bring this closer to the center. Now I want the second hand to rotate, and I want it to rotate not from its own center point, which is going to be somewhere here. Let me just select this. You'll see the center point of the second hand layer is here. So if I go and rotate this, if I press W and rotate it, you see it rotates from the wrong place. Instead, I want the center point to be on top of this pivot point here. So let me zoom in here exactly. So Alt, scroll in. And I'm going to hold down space and just move this up. Now in order to move the anchor point to be on top of this layer here, all I have to do is to get my anchor point tool and then click and drag, and as I do, hold the control key down and you see it will snap to go to the center of that layer. Now that the anchor point of the second hand is on the other layer here, I can rotate this from the correct place. If I go and rotate this by pressing W, I can just rotate this and you'll see it will rotate from the correct place, like that. I'm going to press Command Z to go back a step. So I'm going to zoom all the way out so we can see these steps again. And I'm going to follow exactly the same steps as we did for the car. So initially, when do I want the rotation animation to start? Let's say I want the rotation animation to start exactly when the car starts moving. Well, for that, I need to jump on top of these keyframes. So instead of moving the playhead back onto the keyframe, which you can do, if you use on the keyboard the shortcuts J or K, you can jump back and forth between the keyframes. So when you press J, that jumps to the previous keyframe, and the letter K jumps to the following keyframe. So those two keys are going to be extremely useful, so maybe memorize them. J to go back, K to go forward keyframe by keyframe. Alternatively, you could just click on this button here to go back, and then this one to go forward. So that's J, and that's K. Now on the car, I want to jump to the first keyframe, so I'm going to go back by one level, and I'm on this keyframe now, and then need to select the second layer, and then press R to reveal its rotation. And I'm at the time now, so this is when I want the rotation to start. Second step is to set the value. What do you want the value to be? Well, I want it to be what it is now, 0 degrees. So it's already set. Next, we need to create a keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch, this time next to the rotation. That creates the keyframe here. We then need to change the time. So how long do I want this animation to go on for? Let's say I want this to go on for as long as the car moves. So I'm going to press K to jump to the next keyframe of the car. And the last step is to update the value. That is, how many degrees should this be rotated by at the end of the animation? Let's say I want this to be, let's say 90 degrees exactly. So it's exactly on 3 o'clock here. So if I just go and type in 90, there. That sets us the new keyframe. Now if I go back to the beginning and then play it by pressing spacebar, you see as the car moves from here to here, the second hand here will animate from 12 to 3. Have a look. And again, I'll press space to pause it.